Good morning, everybody. It's Donna Reed here in Southern Arizona in the Cactus Lounge, and I traveled in 1976A. This morning, my guest is Paul Whitaker, who I don't know hardly anything about. I mean, there's a bunch of you that I already knew some things about, but I don't know anything about Paul. So Paul, tell the world your introduction into Up With People.
Well, that was in 1983, and I worked for one of the only sponsors they ever had in the UK, in Yorkshire.
Yeah.
The big newspaper called the Yorkshire Post, and I was a sponsor contact, and I hosted part of the advance team.
Oh, wow.
And for 6 or 8 weeks, I had a 5-member team, one of which I'm still in touch with.
Nice.
And we did 3 shows in 3 different towns in Yorkshire, and didn't really know what I was promoting, but I was promoting this thing that was arriving, and I didn't see it until it arrived. Yeah. And at the end of the setup, they offered me a job as a PR rep for the coming summer, and I accepted. I leased my house, handed my company car back in, and went to work for $250 a month in Tucson.
Wow. Wow. So, okay, so you said you're still in touch with, so that was your PR team, right? The 4 or 5 people
that was the PR team of the cast at that time.
Of the cast.
I wasn't PR rep yet.
Yeah. So at the reunion this weekend, I'm going up just on Saturday. And are you going by any chance? Are you coming down to? No. So
2 of my casts this summer, this year, 2 of my casts are not in Phoenix. They did separate reunions, so it's not really worth going.
Yeah, there's a lot of those too.
Next year, because I have 4 casts next year.
Okay. So do you know Scott Dupay by any chance? So Scott did PR in my home when I first saw a show. And so I messaged him, and it's sort of funny when you say you're still in touch with someone. I'm like, okay, I think I'm in touch with Scott on LinkedIn because he does LinkedIn, but I don't know if he's retired, and I don't know if he has the same phone number, like all those things, but I found him. So we're at least going to grab a drink, which is kind of fun. So, all right. So you 83, and then you come back, you quit your job at the Yorkshire Post, and then you did PR. Did you do PR then to help set up more in the UK, or how did that transpire?
No. In those days, the PR reps followed the cast. If they went to China, you went to China. You didn't. We regionalized PR reps later on, where they had the European ones in Europe and the American ones in America and Mexico.
Okay.
It was before that time. So I did the General Motors tour. I was in Colorado Springs, Kokomo, Indiana, 3 cash show in Detroit, Dublin, Ireland, London, England, Cape Cod. Yeah.
Wow. So a unique variety across. That's cool. And after you did PR, you and I talked a little bit about the fact that you just kept going and going, doing things for Up With People for a lot of years. That's why your name was given to me. Everybody's like, talk to Paul Whitaker. Okay. So tell me then what transpired after
5 years with the casts.
How many?
5 years.
Wow.
Marketing manager, education manager, cast manager 2 years, and the PR rep. Yeah, that was 5.
Okay.
And then went scheduling, did the first tour of Australia, 1989. Wow. And then I did Ireland, tours of Ireland. Then I became a cast director. No, I became a tour manager in Tucson, and then a cast director for several years through 96.
So what was a tour manager? Because frankly, the terms changed over the years, and I don't know what that was.
Takes the city off the scheduler and develops it before the PR team goes in. So you might be tour managing a cast a year ahead. The cast is not there, but you're working with a sponsor and the money and the tickets and everything. And then the PR team goes in and you work with them till the city's over with. That's an office-based position.
Okay. Okay. So I want to back up because I'm going to go back to you were working for the Yorkshire Post. Had you been through college? Did you have a degree in a specific arena or no? Okay.
No.
How old were you when you were working there?
25.
25.
That's when I left. I was there 5 years.
Okay. Okay. So you started young. Does the Yorkshire Post still exist?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. You just don't know. All right. So did you happen to meet your spouse in Up With People?
No.
No.
Oh, I didn't get married till I was 63. So
Really?
that's 4 years ago.
Wow.
So I was Up With People. If you stick with it, it's a difficult company to work for because it's endlessly demanding.
Hmm.
Endlessly demanding. So being single, I was able to do a lot of things that other staff members who were full-time in the office couldn't do because they were married and they had kids.
Right.
So I
Right.
could go places for 6 months or 9 months to develop. My specialty in Up With People was new tours in new countries: Australia, Taiwan, Thailand, Philippines, Cuba, Israel. Yeah.
So Paul, tell me what that looked like for you. Like, okay, we're gonna, Blanton's saying or somebody said, we want to go to Australia. What did you do to start searching to go to Australia?
Well, that was one of the early tours. In those days, there would be a senior contact somewhere in Australia, and then they would facilitate your presence, if you like, and introduce them to all their friends. There was a scheduler for Australia as well. I tour managed it in Casma and worked with all the different cities down there. So there was 2 of us really, but you go in with nothing, and that's the case of all the new tours.
Right.
You don't have money. You have maybe 2 contacts, and you have to develop it from there. And you have to come in pretty much on budget. Otherwise, there's problems at the end of the year. Yeah. So
It's fascinating to think about. Okay, so then you said that was one of the early tours. So now you did Israel, and that's been way more recent. So tell me, was there an evolution in how things transpired, like to do Israel?
the interesting, I mean, there's so many stories around everything, but Israel was supposed to be a part of a cast after the end of the year was over, and then maybe 40 or 50 would sign up to do an extra add-on tour in Israel. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the whole bloody cast signed up. So we had 100, instead of having 40 or 50 people to take care of, we had 110 in a brand new country that had never heard of us. And
Because they were like, Israel. Yeah.
yeah. And we got lots of help from the board in terms of financing it, but financing is part of it, but you just don't know anybody, and you have to scratch and fight and focus and get people to help you, get people to want to help you and this thing. And
Wow.
in all the new countries, I mean, Cuba was the most difficult by
Wow.
far, because in a lot of countries you can solve things by finding somebody who's got a little bit of money or this or that or the other. In Cuba, they had no money. And they didn't care about money. They only cared about the permission of the next guy on the ladder above you, because it is and was a communist
Yeah.
country, and it's about permission. It's not about money.
Interesting. Yeah.
So it was a whole different approach, if you like.
Wow.
But Philippines was difficult. Thailand was medium.
I can't.
Taiwan was, you had to get used to the Chinese culture, which was totally different to all the others.
Oh, yeah.
It's they all brought their unique challenges, and for me, Up With People is a lifestyle job. There was no such thing as you're not working, or here comes the weekend, or
Right.
it,
Right.
the cast is always coming, and if you're ready, you're ready. If you're not, it's tough.
Yeah, they're still arriving. All
But
right.
that
So
applies to the PR reps and the tour managers on that tour as well. I mean, it's not just me,
yeah.
but it might take 2 years to get a country to the state where you can put it on the tour schedule for any cast. Yeah.
I think that that's a fascinating piece of, well, I guess I'm going to compare it to any corporation. Most of us have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. We know what's happening in our little world where we are. And we know that maybe a bus showed up and maybe it didn't, and we did whatever we needed to do. And we know that somebody taught us to sing and dance. But most of us have no idea of the legwork and the groundwork that happens back here behind us, right? You know,
and the cast is, the interesting thing is that as much as they like me and the rest of the staff who are arranging the tour, they really have to trust us the way that the cast is going to deliver what we promised them.
Yeah.
And they have never seen a cast and they don't know.
Yeah.
But the cast is really the only thing they want to see. I'm just a business guy. I'm just the arranger.
You've sold this show and they want to see the show.
Well, not just the show, the program. The program, you know, the show is the ta-da,
Yeah.
and they love it, and they are always usually blown away by it. But they're interested in the host families as well, and the community service, and all the other aspects that make the package. Yeah.
Right. Right.
And you cannot major on the show too much, because then you're just like any other singing group.
That's true. That's true.
The difference between us and every other thing are our words and our music. And that is, but if they haven't seen it, a video really doesn't do it.
No. And you know, I think sometimes we say that as alumni that one of my friends, I mentioned that she was with somebody and she and he talked about, you know, 45 years ago, while his wife sat there going, right. You know, because if you haven't experienced it, it's just another group coming to town. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You're exactly right. The young man, Lee Kun, who was the cast director when Up With People shut down in 2020, is Chinese. And I interviewed him and he told me that, you know, his parents never saw a show. They don't speak English. They thought he was crazy, of course, you know, to pick up and go. So, you know, thinking about selling it in China is an amazing thing. So Paul, you said there's so many stories. So tell me a story that is maybe one of the most unique things that happened to you anywhere.
Well, there's the external stories, the things that happen to you in the countries, you know. I mean, I managed the Mexican office for 10 years. I managed the European office for several years.
Okay.
I was in Denver and Tucson for several years. There are the internal stories of, you know, Up With People's changes in management and leadership and how that impacted you. I mean, I went from number 13 on the list of seniority in 1997, 6 or 7, I don't remember, to number 2 overnight.
Because of the changes. Wow.
I went from, you know, cast director / vice president to executive vice president. Wow. All of a sudden, I'm sitting in Dale Penny's office overnight.
Wow.
I mean, I didn't ask for that, but I figured that somebody had to sit in that chair, and whatever that did. For 5 years till I left. Yeah.
So one of the things that was on your list that I sent you was about songs or music. Are there, you know, you saw a lot of shows, you've been a lot of places. Is there a song or two that you feel like stands out for you?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I mean, I joined because of the music. I mean, impacted me. I mean, yes, when I was at the newspaper and they offered me the job, I said, well, it'd be good to go to the States for a couple of years, 2 or 3 years. It'll look good on the resume and I'll come back and do whatever.
Yeah.
But I never went back. And people's has a unique ability to, if you have the right mindset, it can inspire you to do a lot of things. And the music and the words, no one else was singing those words. And then they weren't right until we were finishing. Whether you like the song or not, the words were always important to me. And a song with meaningless words I have no interest in. None at all.
That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
So Unfinished World has always been one of my favorites. If you want to pin it down, if you like.
Yep. Yeah. Well, there's certain, songs that seem to come up in these interviews a lot. And which means a lot of us like the same things, or, it's the reason that Rhodes has gone through a lot of shows and Moonrider and stuff. Give the Children Back Their Childhood has come up again because of, things happening in the Ukraine and, but it's interesting to me that I do the same thing. I live in a world of lyrics where I wake up and some song from Up With People is in my head. And it makes me wonder, what happened? Why is that there today? And I definitely am a lyrics person compared to just repeating pop phrases that are kind of meaningless.
I will say though, after 32 years, they trot 1 or 2 songs out way too often. I think that have been in 5 different shows, same song.
Which one?
Well, Childhood is one of them.
Childhood is one of them. Yep.
Sing a Song of Peace is another one.
Yeah. That's a good song. It's a good song.
Yeah, but I have to live with these songs for 2 or 3 years. They're always there, and then they go away for 2 or 3 years, and then they're back again. They might have rearranged it a little bit.
I'm going to say there would be a little bit different rhythm.
Fundamentally good songs, but after listening to them for 10 years, it's whatever.
Which also makes me think, when I talk to Paul and to Steve about the fact that some of the stories are still going on. So that's why they come back, or that's why they came back, because something happened in the world.
Well, there's always something happening.
I know.
And you can make any excuse you like to bring them back, and it will be relevant. So there is always a new generation to hear them. I'm just saying from my point of view.
It's the reason that people still sing the Beatles' Happy Birthday to Me every year.
I'm not putting those songs down. I'm not complaining about them. It's just that I stuck around a lot longer, and everyone else didn't have to listen to them.
That's so funny. Our cast talks about when we're at reunion, now they have the backing tracks and there's certain songs that you're all going to do. And I think it'd be a riot to have a show to do all the songs that never made it to the reunions. So, hey, y'all, throw me the ball, or it's a memorable tune, whatever. Anyway, I just think it'd be fun to do all the lesser known songs that were in there for a reason. One of my favorites that comes back to me when people are having trouble with their kids is "Here's to All You Parents Raising Kids While the Kids Are Raising Cain." And it's a set of lyrics. I'll be listening to somebody complain about their 5-year-old or their teenager, and I'm like, yeah, there they go. Those lyrics come through. So, foods of the world.
Foods?
Did you ever eat anything just so weird that you'll never eat it again, or something that you learned to love?
Oh no! I mean, one of the advantages of being older, Up With People, is you don't need to do the foolish things that you do when you're younger, because they're foolish. I mean, if you want to go to the Philippines, one of their greatest delicacies is a thing called balut.
Balut.
Which is an unbroken duck egg.
Oh.
It is not cooked. And and you are supposed to break it open and swallow the whole thing. And of course, the cast wants to do this. Well, good. So we arranged for them to do it, but Paul didn't. there are things like that in most countries, you know, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, dependent. But I have the advantage of being there several months to a year in advance.
So you either tried it or you know better than to try it by then.
I mean, they're fun for the cast, and if they want to do it, fair enough. They
Yeah.
can do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when I came back from Israel, and I just had some friends come back again for the first time. And I was like, how many different varieties of hummus or whatever did you have? And I and here, I don't know if you know this, Tucson is a, oh my God, what's the word? It's like an UNESCO. It's a food, chosen city. And my friends who are Eastern or Middle Eastern will be like, oh no, we're going to get the Turkish, or we're going to get the Greek, or we're going to get the Syrian. And to me, I'm all like, how can you make those chickpeas taste any different? They got their thing.
Yeah. I mean, Israel it didn't really have distinct. I mean, hummus is a North African thing, not an Israeli thing. I mean, it's all over North Africa.
It's all over. Yeah.
And so, but the different thing with Israel that I found different was the mint tea. You get mint tea in a tea bag here. Over there, they bring you water and a big handful of mint leaves, and they stuff it in your
Cup.
cup, and that's your mint tea.
Do you, you said you were in the European office for a long time. Do you know the Stroyer family? If you were based there, did you know?
Which family?
Stroyer. It was Pierre, Paul, and Marie. Anyway, Boudoir and Karine. There were several siblings that traveled, and might have been a little bit before you were there. But she makes mint tea that way. And that was the first time that I ever saw somebody just take mint leaves and put them in and go, oh, that's how you do it. Interesting. Makes sense, right? So, all right. So you touched on something about what drew you to Up with People and what made it different. And I don't think that any of us know what the future holds for Up with People, or whatever it becomes, or whatever it's called, as you and I have discussed. What would you say to a 20-year-old who now has the choice of, they can just go couch surf if they want, right? There's a million things that people can do to travel. If you had some kid come up to you and say, what is this Up with People? And I want to go and do, and without knowing the incarnation it will be, what would you say?
Well, the difference between Up with People travel and solo travel, if you like, is that you don't impact anybody. It's a selfish thing. It's not meant to be a selfish thing to go on your own, because you are going to learn things and you are going to see things and experience things. There's nothing wrong with that. But traveling with Up with People, you have a chance to impact other people and get to know them at different levels, and host families, service outlets, audiences, each other in the cast.
Right.
But whatever impact you value the most, you have the opportunity to develop it over a 12-month period. And that is not clear under any new program that we'll ever be able to do that again with COVID and its follow-up. Yeah. Ever a thing designed to kill Up with People, it was COVID.
It was COVID.
You can't be on buses. You can't fly anywhere. Host families will not host you.
I wonder if or when that would ever come back. Like I can't see it.
A great deal of trust on a lot of different people's point of view.
Yeah.
And so as much, I would say with a new program, there's an opportunity and there's a risk, as with anything, and depending on the components of the new program, it will depend on whether the youth of whichever generation starts it, because it's not clear when it's going to start, will value it. Or, I mean, when I helped to restart Up with People in 2005,
right.
and it took us 3 years to get it going in its current form.
Wow.
Yeah, because Up With People develops and maintains itself. You're constantly interviewing students, and you're
Right.
constantly developing staff, and you've got schedulers out there doing tours and tour managers, and you're hiring reps, and it's happening on a cyclical basis constantly. If you stop it, it all stops, and everything has to be restarted. If indeed you do a traveling program with students, if you do a different type of program, then
Yeah.
the issues will be different.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you stop it, and it's a beast to go again.
Right. It is. It's starting all over. Yeah. It's from the ground floor. It's a new company.
It'll take you 2 years minimum to recruit your students, and you're going to have to bring a lot of ex-alumni back, to be the initial staff.
Yeah.
And then they will leave, and you've got to bump the students up and train them, and you've got stagings and it just goes on and on.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I usually ask people this at the beginning, and I didn't. Are you still working, or are you retired, or?
I'm 67 years old. I'm retired.
And are you in Colorado?
Although I still do projects, and I was working with Vernon on a project with the Pope until Russia invaded Ukraine.
The Ukraine.
All got put on hold. We weren't going to the Ukraine, but the world politics dictated that we put it on hold.
Wow. Wow.
So I live in Utah, where my wife is from.
Okay.
We spend 4 or 5 months a year on the road in Europe or in Australia or in wherever. We travel a lot.
Nice.
It's in the blood.
Do you still have family back in Yorkshire?
A brother, a niece, and a nephew. Everyone else is off doing better things somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah. I think about the difference between the 70s when I left and traveled, and even this sounds ridiculous, even living in Tucson and having been from the Midwest, when people had second homes in the Midwest, it was predominantly Florida, occasionally Texas. Well, now people actually cross the Mississippi, right? So people kind of go everywhere all the time. And I had a conversation with someone about my cousins in Sweden, and the fact that my generation is from Gothenburg. They married people in Gothenburg. Their kids are in Gothenburg. They're all, and so the fact that we just go all over the place is a whole different world. The
US is a movement-oriented society, and you're organized to do that with apartments everywhere and hotels everywhere. And Europe was not brought up that way.
Right. Right.
My dad would never move for a job.
Isn't that something?
Didn't come to him, he wasn't working.
That is amazing. All right, we've got a couple minutes. We got to wrap it up. I'm just being nosy. Are you going to Europe this summer? Or you got big plans about where you're going to go?
Yeah, we'll go to Europe in September. We'll stay till Christmas. We'll be mainly in Florence.
Okay.
Used to do a lot of touring around, 3 days here, 5 days here. We're now settled on staying in a city we like for a period of time. And then then in the spring, we'll go to another city we like. But
cool.
We're not stuck on anything, but yes,
nice.
We love it.
I leave next Tuesday, and I'm going to be gone a month. And part of my time in France is going to be with a couple of French realtors to look and see if there's a place that I might go for 2 months at a time, if I can do it. And I kind of I want a small town close to a big town. So I don't want to be in Paris, and I don't want to be in Toulouse. I want to be like, I can get there easy, but I grew up in it. Yeah.
We were in France last fall doing the same thing.
Did you? Yeah. Yeah. So I kind of went, what was the old Cheers bar where everybody knew your name? I want the baker at the boulangerie to know me. Right. And still be able to get to the city if I need to. So anyway, any parting words to share with the Up With People alumni world?
Just a thank you. I mean, I spent 32 years at Up With People, and I hope I gave as much as I got.
Mm.
But the impact and the experiences on so many people beyond the cast.
Yeah.
I see that, and I go back to it when we're arranging to go back 2 or 3 years later, and 2 or 3 years after that. And I would say to them that you definitely spent a great year, especially the road staff, who I know much more because I work with them year after year.
Yeah.
The road staff and the cast, you shouldn't regret a minute of what you did, because I think it was worth it.
I agree.
And the
Yeah.
alternatives might have been more attractive in some ways, but would not have been as impactful. So I
Interesting.
know, I look it up with people very objectively. I know the good, the bad, and the in between.
Yeah.
But the balance is that it was worth it, guys.
When it's all said and done, it was worth it. That's awesome. All right, I'm going to cut us off here in a moment. I just want you to know that with your ceiling lights, you're kind of glowing. So just so you know, if you rewatch this, you're going to be in the light, out of the light, but
Okay.
It's all good. Thank you for your time. It's been good to chat and get to know you a little bit more.
Thanks for doing
And no problem. And I may post it before the reunion. I may wait till after because everybody's got all their reunion stuff going on, but I'll make sure you know. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye, Paul.